How's it? Today's Monday, June 29th, and I did a lot of hang snatches today. It was not so good, but definitely a lot better than last week. So I was supposed to do about 5 singles or so at around 200 pounds. I ended up doing 6 singles at 200, and I missed 4 singles at 200. So I actually gave 10 attempts at 200, which means I gave a total of 16 attempts for all of these, which is a lot. And I was pretty tired at the end of this, but I think that it's just I got really frustrated because my technique wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. As it gets heavier, I started running into this issue where my start position of the hang would start to sweep out away from me as I moved up. You see right there. 155, it started to happen. So imagine it being 45 pounds heavier. That was very frustrating to me. So it didn't happen too much here on this 180. And with 190 as my last formula set. Didn't happen as much in here as well. But basically, I'm not sure how many of the 10 attempts that it turned out to be this way. So that was a pretty good one on my first attempt. But it's just like, it's very sloppy and very inconsistent. And that's just not usually how things go for me. A little bit out front there. Like usually I'm pretty consistent. If that's consistently bad, then I'm consistently bad. I'm not all over the place. Yeah, a little bit forward on that one as well. I think another thing to think about here is that, let's see me make this one real quick. I got on my toes there at the bottom of the hole. Another thing to think about is that my feet should be hitting the floor kind of very close to when my arms lock out and the bars over my head. For, I want to say, all 10 of these attempts, yeah, the bar went out front and that one as well at the start position. But for all 10 of these attempts, my feet land, and then I kind of wiggle my arms into position, as opposed to being the other way around. This was the most frustrating one, because that one I had it and I just kind of lost out front as I stood up. That one was not too much sweeping out at the start position, but still that same idea of me landing with my feet at the same time, or a lot closer in proximity to my arms. You can see that was a very big indication that was the reason why I missed that lift. And that little wiggle at the bottom was also the same idea. It's just that I have height on all of these. It's just that my timing and my speed is just not quite there. So I can't get into the positions I need to when I need to. So I think Steve said we're going to work on those issues for a little bit in the future. And so after those hang snatches, I moved into some snatch deadlifts, just up to 235 for 3 sets of 3. And this is basically right around the weight where Steve mentioned a couple weeks ago that I'll start transitioning into some sort of pull, some sort of variation of the pull, kind of more explosiveness. Because at a certain point, I can deadlift as much for the snatch deadlift as possible, but if I don't have the speed, the requisite speed to get the bar, get height on the bar, then I won't be able to execute any snatch in any capacity. So those are some things to look forward to for me. These are all pretty easy. My hip was feeling a little bit off kind of throughout this. So kind of pushing down into this bottom hole didn't always feel as comfortable as it did in the last couple weeks. And I think that's mainly because I went to the driving range yesterday. Probably not a good idea, but I mean it was my off day, and I did take it a lot slower than me going to the driving range last week. There were some swings that definitely did not help, but most of them were okay. That would be it for my deadlifts. And then I move into some snatch balances. I think I'm finally figuring out how this works. I did suffer a fail, a miss. I think it was my second attempt at my 210 so today I'm doing just 3 singles at 210. I did 3 singles at 205 last week, so just 210 to push it up. That second rep for the 185 was really good. But the idea of me pushing and then getting this thing stuck over my head and real strong as my feet land, which that was not something I thought about during the workout, but getting it strong over my head is starting to work itself out as I fail on that one. Yeah, not too bad. And then I end up doing one more. These, I think I have some apprehension in squatting to depth with my hip. And I think if that were not there, then those would be significantly easier. But it is what it is, and I'm not complaining about it. And then after that, I do my kind of bodybuilding accessories, just weighted pull-ups, and then some core. Weighted pull-ups. Last week I went to 75, I believe. And this week I went to 77 and a half. Oh, I went to 75 this week. Just for 3. And it wasn't the best. So I guess I'm going to probably do 75 again next week, just to make sure that I get the full range of motion. And then after that, I just do my ab wheel. Lately, I haven't been really feeling core stiffness or core tightness, core soreness the next day. So maybe I need to start finding another variation of this to make it a little bit more challenging. But all in all, I think today was a pretty good showing considering how poorly last week went. Steve was mentioning that we want our Mondays to be more like last week Friday, where I did have a few misses, but those makes were quality reps where it shows that I'm making progress and it shows that I'm putting in work. So I think this was a lot closer to Friday than last Monday. So yeah, that would be it for today. So thank you for watching. Shoots.